Joining us now for an exclusive interview is Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Wonderful to have you. One of the issues that the members of Congress on both sides of the House and the Senate, they say that the number one call into their office over the past couple of months has been about vaccine mandates. They don't want them. So they're urging you to try to figure out a way to strip out that funding for vaccine mandates, or make them strip out vaccine mandates so that this government can continue to run. Here's a House Freedom Caucus letter to you. We therefore write to request that you use all procedural tools at your disposal to deny timely passage of the continuing resolution unless it prohibits funding in all respects for the vaccine mandates and enforcement thereof. This is all happening as we are on the clock to see if the government will continue to be funded. What do you think happens today? Will those vax mandates stay in the bill?
Well, I think there's good news. Multiple courts have pushed the pause button on these government vaccine mandates. There's a decent chance the courts will strike them down. Secondly, next week we're going to have a vote on the vaccine mandate prohibiting that regulation from going into effect. I think it has a decent chance of passing the Senate. I don't think shutting down the government over this issue is going to get an outcome. It would only create chaos and uncertainty. So I don't think that's the best vehicle to get this job done. I think the courts are likely to get it done, or will pass early next week, freestanding a measure to overturn the government mandate.
Just to put a fine point, you're saying you can avert a shutdown or not, sir?
Yeah, we're not going to shut the government down. That makes no sense for anyone. Almost no one on either side thinks that's a good idea.
Okay. Dana and I sat here yesterday during the Supreme Court arguments from the state of Mississippi. If the U.S. Supreme Court were to agree with Mississippi, what would be the effect in 49 other states?
Well, it depends on what they decide. I mean, there are a number of different positions they could ultimately conclude. If they agreed with Mississippi, I assume they could decide that's the law everywhere. If they went even more boldly in the direction of revisiting Roe versus Wade, it would turn that issue back to each individual state to make a decision on the issue of abortion. It's very hard to speculate based upon oral argument before a Supreme Court case just how this might come out.
Okay, we'll put that on the back burner for now. Perhaps in 6 months we get a decision from the High Court, but this issue is going to be out there. People are going to be reading about it. They're going to be talking about it up until then. In the meantime, the president says Republicans have no plan. Do you believe, and Dick Durbin said, California number 6, if we have a moment here, guys, that the two Democratic senators on the fence at the moment need to get off the fence? Here's Dick Durbin. Watch.
He has had weeks, if not months, of deliberation leading up to this moment. You have made your mark. You've dramatically decreased the amount that's involved in this bill. And now it's time for Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema to close the deal. For goodness sakes, enough is enough. We've negotiated long enough.
Well, I know you disagree with that comment, but what was the last conversation you had with those two senators? Where do you think they are now, sir?
Well, I talk to them all the time, but let me tell you what would be in the best interest of the country. The best interest of the country would be to tank this reckless tax and spending bill. The biggest issue in the country is inflation. The bill they passed earlier this year on a party line vote has dramatically increased the cost of everything at the gas pump, at the grocery store, for Christmas. The single biggest gift this Democratic Congress could give to the American people this Christmas is to kill this bill. I don't think it's fixable. So I'm hoping, obviously, that Kyrsten and Joe in the end will decide that passing anything close to this. Look, this bill is full of incredibly bad stuff. It expands welfare to illegal aliens. It grants amnesty to 6.5 million illegal immigrants. It provides, believe it or not, tax relief for millionaires and billionaires, largely in places like California and New Jersey and New York. This ought not to pass at all. That would be the single best Christmas gift for the American people.
I want to squeeze in one more. You're pushing to prevent payments to illegals separated at the border. Can you get one Democrat to vote with you on that?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. We've had multiple votes. The border's in chaos, and they're in denial. It's a huge issue. It needs to be solved for the American people. And regretfully, this new administration basically put up a come on in sign at the beginning of the year, and people south of the border figured it out.
Right, Senator McConnell, thank you for joining us today. I know you've got a busy day ahead of you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.